All right, what's up, everyone? Bryce Gelman here. Today, I'm going to be talking about a topic that might be uncomfortable for you, and I'm not going to waste any time. You see the title, you know what I'm talking about. Jalen Brunson has been a massive disappointment for the Knicks over the last 10 games and, quite frankly, the entire season. And I'm going to get into why. I'll explain why it's been so bad lately and how it's negatively impacting the team. But let's currently look where the Knicks are at. They're third place in the Eastern Conference. They are in a spot which I don't think many people expected them to be in going into the season. I think a lot of people, with how open the Eastern Conference looked, expected them to be at the top of the East. Of course, the Celtics lose Jason Tatum in the series against the Knicks. The Pacers lose Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. And you figure the top two teams in the Eastern Conference, besides the Cavs, are out of the question. They're completely out of the picture. They're going to be nowhere to be seen. And the Knicks come out this season, and they have looked inconsistent. They have looked inefficient. Certain players have been extremely disappointing, and one of those players has been Jalen Brunson. No matter what you want to say about Jalen, no matter how much you want to talk him up, one of the greatest Knicks of all time, I am not discrediting that. The point of this video is not to sit here and knock Jalen Brunson and be smarmy about who he is as a basketball player, what he has brought this Knicks team. It's more to address how poorly he has played and how disappointed I am in the fact that the Knicks fan is not willing to acknowledge this. So I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm going to call a spade a spade. And I think it's very important that, again, we focus on where this Knicks team is right now. And the importance of that is because of how much this team relies on Jalen Brunson. The fact that their entire offense lives and dies by the Knicks captain. His usage is higher than it's been since he joined the Knicks. All of his counting stats, all of his advanced stats are lower than they've been in his entire career on the Knicks. His field goal percentage, his three-point percentage, his true shooting percentage. I can go on and on. I can bore you with all the stats. The bottom line is Jalen Brunson has not been good. Full stop. He has not been good. And where it impacts the Knicks the most is in late game situations, and just in the second half in general. The offense gets extremely stagnant when Jalen Brunson decides, well, you know what? I'm going to take over this game. I'm going to try to take over this game. And more often than not, when he gets into that mode, the Knicks offense falls off a cliff. Which, listen, when Jalen has it working, when he's hitting these mid-range shots, when his ability to create is at the highest level that he's able to provide, and of course that that exceeds the skills, the offensive skills of 99% of the players in the NBA, the Knicks, of course, play better. But what happens when his offensive output sees a dip? What happens when those turnarounds, those fadeaways, those jab steps, those step backs, those shots are not falling? What happens? The Knicks offense takes a hit. And his high usage is concerning. And I could use the larger sample size, which is throughout the season. And that's, of course, what I'm referring to with the counting stats and the advanced stats. But I'd like to focus on the last 10 games. Because over the last 10 games, he's been extremely disappointing. Over the last 10 games, the Knicks are 6-4. Those 4 losses have come against better teams. The Cavs, Pistons being 2 of those teams. In those games, not only is Jalen Brunson's usage higher, but his net rating is atrocious. His net rating is almost negative 16. And in wins, it's 21. And again, you might say, oh, Bryce, that doesn't mean much. Of course, his net rating is better in wins and better and worse in losses. But that much? Quick math, a difference of 36 in net rating? And the usage being higher in losses, doesn't that tell you something? Isn't that a pattern? For me, I am disappointed in Mike Brown more than anyone else about this. And this isn't a Mike Brown video, but he shares some of the blame here. He's equally as complicit in this because of him allowing this. Jalen Brunson should not have as high of a usage as he does. His assist numbers shouldn't be down from last year. When the Knicks went out and specifically targeted a guy like Mike Brown because of how much he emphasizes pace and ball movement. The Knicks are averaging more passes per game than they did last year, and that's a given, again, with this offensive philosophy. Yet why is Jalen Brunson's assist number down over 1 assist per game? Why is his usage even higher than it was last year? And one of the biggest gripes amongst all of the Knicks players, the majority of them, whether public or private, was that they did not have as big of a role in the offense as they would have liked. And when you take a step back and you take a macro view of the whole situation, why is that? That's because Jalen Brunson. It's because Jalen Brunson has the ball in his hands for the majority of the time that he's on the court. It gets the point as a point guard. I mean, he has the ball in his hands, 85% of possessions. He takes the ball up. The high usage is okay when he's playing well. But there's this insistence, and it's becoming a concerning trend. It's been evident throughout the course of Jalen Brunson's career as a Knick. But when he does not have it working offensively, he forces the issue. He compounds the issue. He makes it a lot worse. And instead of being like, you know what? I'm still an offensive factor. The defense is still going to respect me, even if I'm shooting 2 for 10 from the field. I'm going to use this attention that I draw on the offensive side to create for my my teammates and the other players on the court. And so much of the attention, this is largely due to a multitude of factors. One of them being the fact that Knicks fans are unwilling to criticize Jalen Brunson, but this has directly led to this behavior continuing to happen, and that is the focus of all of the negativity surrounding the Knicks offense on a select group of guys, on Mikal Bridges, on OG Anunoby, and more importantly, and more prominently, Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, why is all of the advanced stats point to Jalen Brunson being the issue here, not any of those guys? Karl-Anthony Towns is arguably the best player on the Knicks. All the advanced stats point to that. The best net rating, the best 2-man rotations, the best 3-guy combinations, all of them. Because you know what happens when Karl-Anthony Towns is on the court? Not only is the spacing really good, even if he's having a down year and every offensive stat, just like Jalen Brunson, but the spacing is still there. He can rebound well. When he becomes a focal point of the offense, the Knicks, they play well. They do. It is both, an issue of Karl-Anthony Towns and Mike Brown and not getting him the ball more and for Mike Brown, but with Karl-Anthony Towns, I think his frustration with not being the focal point in the offense has compounded the issue. It's been a domino effect. And when he is prioritized in the offense, when he's given the opportunity to create for himself and for his teammates, when given the ball at the elbow or other areas that he excels, it's a winning strategy. It is. This Brunson stuff is, it hurts the team flow because when he's doing this hero ball, it takes 10 to 12 seconds for the Knicks to get into their offensive sets. It takes them 7 to 8 seconds to take the ball up and get it over half court. Feels like almost every time he brings the ball up, he's almost getting an 8-second violation. Or whatever is in the NBA. Should probably know that, right? Get mixed up between college and that. But when this happens, when the over-reliance on Jalen Brunson offensively occurs, and I think it's sporadic. It's not, it's not a straight line here. Uh, not every game is the same. You're not always going to get the 30, percent usage rate from him. Some games will be higher, some games are lower. But in the games where his usage rate is at its highest, how can you expect a guy like OG Anunoby? How can you expect a guy like Mikal Bridges to get it going offensively when they're barely touching the ball? When the majority of the time they spend on the court is watching Jalen Brunson in isolation. So this is having a direct effect on the other players on the Knicks, not just a detriment on the team. Well, of course, I mean, that makes sense, correct? Right? Like that does add up. But listen, Jalen Brunson as a player, again, this is not a knock on him. He's tough. He has the physical mentality that the Knicks need. He's extremely skilled. One of the most skilled, unathletic short guards in NBA history. I think that's objectively true. Even his biggest haters would admit that. And he's a competitor, and he wants to win. My whole thing about this, if he really wants to win, why can't you adapt? Why can't you acknowledge your own mistakes within each game? It's been very difficult for Brunson to take accountability. And fans have a soft spot for him and understood. He's come up clutch in every big situation he's been asked to take the ball and score it. He's one of the most popular athletes in New York history, you could say. But it has reached the boiling point here. It's reached the point where we need to call out what we're seeing on the court. He is too ball dominant. And you could say oh, he's the best player on the team. Of course he is. No one is saying he's not. People also say he's carried them all year. Of course he has. But that's more about the offensive strategy than anything else. He shouldn't be tasked with carrying them this much. The Knicks have enough talent surrounding him where those other players can supplement his poor performances on a nightly basis. When he doesn't play well, those other guys have the ability to shine. But it's got to be a quicker notice. If Brunson doesn't have it working, get the ball to them early. Make them a focal point. The issue when Jalen Brunson gets going, or when he doesn't, the issue with Jalen Brunson is when he doesn't get going, he tries to force the issue. He doesn't get other players involved. He continues to shoot, and that's what players are taught at a young age. Shooters shoot, continue to shoot. They'll eventually fall at the end of the day. But that severely hampers this Knicks team, that mindset. Because as he continues to shoot, as he continues to operate with a hero ball mindset, the other players on the Knicks struggle to find a rhythm. You live by Jalen Brunson, you die by Jalen Brunson. This isn't a Brunson talent problem. It's not. It's just how much they depend on Jalen Brunson. If they depended on him less, if his usage went down, I guarantee you his scoring would stay the same, one. And two, his efficiency would go up. It's too much. It's gotten to, it's got to a point where he's too important for the team. This has never been a winning strategy for any championship winning team. Never. Even the LeBron teams of old, the 2007 Cavs, they got to the finals. Well, what happened when they faced a real team, the Spurs? They got their asses kicked. The Knicks have talent surrounding Jalen Brunson. This doesn't need to be the case. That's the most frustrating part about it. It's not like it's Jalen Brunson and four other bums. You have four guys capable of scoring. Four guys capable of taking the ball to the basket and scoring. Maybe not Mikal Bridges, but everyone else. Mikal's got a good mid-range game. Each one of these guys have their own offensive, abilities, specialties, one could say. So if you think I'm wrong, let me know why. I think this is a pretty black and white issue. Jalen Brunson has not been good, and it's killing the Knicks because they rely on him too much. That's objectively true. But if you disagree, let me know. I'm all for it. I'm all for a little bit of a debate. I'd like to put some Knicks fans in their place. So if you enjoyed this, please subscribe. I'm begging you. No, if you liked it, please subscribe. If not, tell me to get lost. I'm okay with either. But yeah, if you like this, drop a like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter at Bryce Gelman. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I always say this, but more Knicks content coming your way. I've done a few YouTube videos, it's been a while. So more of that coming, more live streams. I may have a little bit of podcast in the works. Get a lot of good guests, a lot of fun stuff potentially coming your way. So stay tuned for all of that. Giant stuff, of course, off season, always fun. One Giant Stab. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. I digress. Thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll talk to you all very soon. Peace.